Hey everybody, it's Tina Hogan Grant here. I'm here with my Cuppa A Natter that I do every other Monday. I like to bring authors into my home. We have a cup of tea and we chit chat about books, writing, whatever comes to mind. And I am the author of 7 books. I have another one coming out in August. And I am joined this evening with Sarahlyn Bruck. How are you this evening?
Hi, thanks for having me on, Tina.
I am so excited to talk to you. I've been waiting for this one. It's so nice to have you. A pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be had.
We are going to talk about your books and your writing and what you're working on now. But I want to say hi to a few people that are joining us. Can you see the comments?
Yes, I can see. Hello, everybody.
All right. We got B. We have Karen Wright. We have Vicky Fassetti. They're all saying hello. And Lori Tasco. I do have a couple of Facebook users, and I'm going to remind you that because I'm seeing Facebook user, it's because you're watching this from my group, which is a private group. So you need to click on the link above the video to give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. It's only in the group you have to do that. If you're watching from my author page or from YouTube, it's public. So I don't need permission from StreamYard. But from my group, you need to click on that blue link. Sherry Evelyn-Zibarone is here also. So I'm here tonight with Sarahlyn Bruck. We're going to talk about her books. If you have questions for Sarahlyn while we're talking, feel free to put them in the comments. I would try to get to as many as I can. Sarahlyn, I understand that you are originally from California, because you were chit-chatting a little bit before we went live.
Yeah.
And where do you live now?
I live in Philadelphia.
So what took you to Philadelphia?
It was a pretty long, circuitous route, I have to say. But my husband and I met in Chicago, so it kind of starts there. So we met in Chicago. My husband and I actually did theater together. We met in the same, we did improv theater, so we met in the same place. And he ended up getting a job as an editor in Hollywood. So we moved to Hollywood. And so he worked in the, in show business, basically, for a little while.
Nice.
And I went back to school and I ended up getting my master's and started teaching. And I really loved, that whole world. It was a really fun place to be and to observe. But he ended up getting out of the business and he went back into teaching. Teaching kind of called him back. He already had his teaching degree. So he went back into teaching. And so we were kind of living in Southern California and we thought, well, what are we doing here if we're not in the entertainment industry? So I really wanted to live in kind of a more vertical city. So, and we wanted to be closer to family, and his family is in New Jersey. So we picked Philly. It was affordable. We were both teaching, and it's turned out to be a really wonderful choice for us.
It sounds great. And how long have you been there?
We've been there since 2007.
Oh, wow. You've been there a while, 10, 13, 14 years. So you're quite established there.
But we're still newbies.
You know what? I'm from England and I've been here 30 plus years and I'm still learning stuff. The other day my daughter-in-law was here and I can't remember what the word was, but she wanted something from the kitchen and I kept calling it an English term. And she was trying to figure out what I was saying. And still we have this language barrier, even though I've been here 30 years. I'll call something in the English term. And she's trying to figure out what I'm trying to get for her from the kitchen. No, I can't remember what it was on the top of my head, but I still have that barrier.
I know. And it's actually, isn't it, do you find like it's useful as a writer to still kind of feel like you're on the outside a little bit looking in?
I do. The thing is, what I had an issue with, because the first 3 books in my trilogy is based on my life, and I was talking to my editor about it. I have always spelled mum, M-U-M. It's just a thing. And what my son, he grew up writing M-U-M, and he always had to get corrected in school. No, it's M-O-M. And he's like, no, my mom spells it M-U-M. Yeah. And then he got really upset because there was no Mother's Day card spelled with M-U-M. You know, and we were talking about the book, the first one, Reckless Beginnings, and I'm saying to my editor, you know, it's partly based in England, it's partly based in the US. Do I write it in, you know, British English or American English? Yeah. What do I do about the word mum? And we ended up deciding that we wrote it in American English. Mm-hmm. But it was, you know, it was a decision that I kind of, you know, wasn't sure which way to go. Yeah. Because it is an English character living in America, but speaking with English terms. And there's things in the book that I did write, like instead of garbage can, she would call it, you know, a rubbish bin, little things like that. And that's stuff I still do today. There's just certain terms I cannot shake. And one of them is mum. And it felt weird when I was writing the book to write it M-O-M. It just felt so foreign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's funny because my first book had a British publisher. And so working with the editor, you know, going back and forth on edits, she was British and she wanted the spellings to be different. And I was like, no, this is a book that's set, and it's set in America. It's set with American characters. You know, the first book was set in Philly, you know, so no, we're not going to be, you know, changing the Z's to S's. We're not going to be, we can't do that. And, you know, and everything, it all worked out just fine. But it was really funny just having those conversations that I had never thought that I would have, actually. I hadn't.
Yeah, right. And how long have you been writing?
I've been writing basically my whole life, but I switched over to novel writing really after my daughter was born. So I earned my master's and I started teaching college English, and most of my writing was academic. And then after Virginia was born in 2004, something just kind of switched. I wanted to tell different stories. And so, and I had always written short stories and stuff like that when I was a kid and when I was in high school and everything. And then I did theater, which is another version of telling stories. And I actually think academic writing is also telling stories too. You're just telling them in a different way. But I started really getting serious about writing novels after she was born, and started taking classes and dipping my toe in. And I wrote, you know, as many of us do, I wrote one book that took way too long and went nowhere. And now it's in the drawer somewhere.
There were a couple of those.
I think we all do, or most of us do. But it was a great way to learn. That was I think that was what I learned, how I learned how to write a novel, you know.
Right. Yeah. And I see that you have 2 books published.
Yeah.
The first one is, hold on a second, Designer You was your debut novel?
Yeah.
Designer You, and that came out in what year?
2018.
Do you happen to have one next to you? Are we going to hold up and see? Oh,
yeah.
Yay! I forgot to ask you that before we went live. So that's your debut, Designer You. Yeah. And I also read that one won an award.
It did. It won the Indie Star Book Award.
Congratulations on a debut too.
And it was also on the 35 over 35 list, which was debut authors who are 35 years of age or older. So I am over 35 when that came out. And it was on that list too. So
that's
that
great.
was really nice.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, the next one is Daytime Drama.
Yes.
That one came out this year.
Yeah.
Are they a series or are they standalones?
These are standalones. Though I have had actually a lot of readers, especially for the second book, ask about a sequel, and there is kind of room for a sequel. It's something that I've been kind of thinking about. I'm writing something else right now, but it is something that I've been kicking around because I don't know about you, but I loved these characters so much, and I loved being in this world so much. It was really, really hard to let go. And so I wouldn't mind actually thinking of writing a sequel.
Yeah. That's why I mean, when I wrote my debut novel, it's supposed to be just the one book, but it ended up being a trilogy. And even now after the trilogy, I kind of miss writing about it. So I've decided I'm going to go back and do spin-offs of like little short stories of things I couldn't put in. This is the trilogy that's based on me. And I want to do little short stories or some adventures that I couldn't include in the book and make a collection of short stories so I can continue on just a little bit longer.
That's really cool.
And the book I'm writing now is supposedly going to be the final book in my other series. It's book 5, but it's like, I don't know. I go back and forth. You know, it's nice to continue on with the story and get to know the characters even better.
Yeah.
But also there's this urge to start something different, something fresh, something new.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going back and forth with that one. Do you have daytime drama book next to you?
I sure do.
That's the one that came out again. I'm sorry, when?
It came out in March.
Of this year.
Yeah.
And this is the one that readers are asking if there is a series or a sequel. That's the one?
Yeah, it's because the end, well, I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, but the ending kind of begs for maybe some more. I don't know.
Can you give us a little background? I mean, I would like to read the description from Amazon from one of them.
Absolutely.
Which one would you like me to read from?
You pick.
I pick. Okay, I'll probably go with your debut because it's just your first one. But in the meantime, if you want to give us a little background on your second one, daytime drama, and then I'll read the description of the other one.
Sure. Yeah,
okay.
Daytime drama is about a soap opera actress. It takes place in right smack dab in the middle of Hollywood. And it's about a soap opera actress who's middle-aged. She's over 40. She has been working at the same soap opera her whole life, basically. She started working there as a teenager, as one does often in the soap opera world, right? We see characters there who are there for decades. So she has had basically the same job her whole life. And like many soap operas today, this one gets canceled. And she is basically, her whole life is a wrench has been thrown into her whole life. And so she's a single mom. She's got a young son who also wants to be part of the business, and she doesn't want him to. Her mother is living with her, which is, you know, when you've got multiple generations, that always goes perfectly well. And she also has an her son's father, who is blackmailing her. So she's got a lot of balls up in the air. And she needs to figure things out pretty quick about whether she's going to fight to save the show or if she's going to start kind of start over from scratch and figure out something else to do.
Now, sounds good. I like the plot. Obviously, it's based upon the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Do you write that because of your background with your husband? Is that something that you're just drawn to write about because you have inside scoop, I guess you want to call it?
Part of it. The part about Hollywood that I really loved was when he was part of the entertainment industry, we would, and all of us were pretty broke, right? We would have these parties and we would have it seemed like everybody was working for the entertainment industry but me. And we would have people who were set designers and editors and directors and, you know, and they were all so interesting and really quick and smart and hilarious. And I just thought, oh man, this is such an interesting, unique energy that you just don't get anywhere else. And then on top of it, when we moved to Philadelphia, because I grew up in California, when winter comes around, I was freezing my butt off. And I just, in winter of 2017, I just wanted to be in Hollywood. I just wanted to at least, and I wasn't going to be able to be there physically. So I decided to go there in my head and write about it. But that was, you know, that was sort of the inspiration for the story. But oh my God, I had to do so much research because I didn't really know anything about the soap opera world or any of that stuff. So that was also tons of fun to do research on too.
And is your the first book based in Hollywood too, or the entertainment industry? No, just this
No,
one.
it's this one's the first one's set in Philly, and it's set in the design world. So like home
Okay.
design. Yeah,
Okay.
and that was
I'll read the
also really
description on
fun
that
research.
one. What
Yeah,
genre would you categorize your books as?
women's fiction or contemporary fiction or book club fiction.
Okay, and are they based on anyone that you know? Are the stories or the characters? Any one of your characters based on? No, they're all up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm taking little bits and
Little
pieces,
bits and pieces.
you know, from people that I know or experiences that I've had, but for the most part, no, they're not
No,
based on anybody real.
that's good. Most of mine are.
Oh, really? Does anybody that you write about, do they recognize
Well,
themselves?
everyone in the trilogy, the Tammy Mello trilogy, everyone knows who they are in the book because it's based on me. So when I talk about my sisters, the good sister and the bad sister, each sister knows which is which.
Oh,
And I actually talked to them before I wrote the book. I said, look, you know, I can't write this book without you being in it because it's also a book about this relationship of sisters. And one of the sisters went through a lot. And she was fine with me not revealing everything, but talking about it in the book. And she basically said to me, I'll live the life and you write the life. So, okay.
really? So she was okay with it?
She was okay with it because she did go through some really, really bad stuff.
Yeah.
And, but we were like a support system. If some of these people have read the book and, you know, I had issues of my own and she had issues, but together we supported each other and, you know, grew out of it. So that's why I needed her in the book because she was my support system.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and I supported her too. So, but she was fine with it. She was fine with it. So, but I did talk to them. My dad, of course, is in it, but he passed away before the book got published. So,
okay.
And my mother did. My mother got dementia while I was writing the book. And what was really touching is my sister in England actually read the book to her, even though she was in pretty much, you know, late stages of dementia, but she didn't even recognize my sister.
Yeah.
But my sister wanted mom, even if, you know, she believed that if she read it to her, she would hear it.
Yeah,
and I thought that was just beautiful. I really did.
Oh, that is beautiful.
It is beautiful. So anyways, I got some questions here I want to reel off to you. And then I will read the description of, which one is it? Designer You, correct? No?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Here's one from Dana. Do you have a favorite place to write?
You know, it's changed since the pandemic, right? I mean, I redid my office this year and I made it into a space. I don't know if you can see behind me, I have this sort of golden colored couch. You can see it better.
I do see it. I do see it.
And so I've made my office a far more inviting place to write and read, and I can bounce from I'm at my desk right now. I can bounce from my desk to my couch if I need to. But I really needed my own space because my husband has been working in the house, and we're all so lucky that we've been able to work from home. I mean, we are absolutely 100% grateful. But there's been, all of us have been in this house, you know, doing our work. So my husband's been doing his work from the house and my daughter has been doing her school from the house. So I really needed a space that was, you know, because beforehand I didn't really have a favorite place to write. I would, you know, work some in my office. I would work downstairs in the living room. I would go to a coffee shop at the library.
Sound like me.
Yeah, I would bounce around, right? And so once that choice was taken away from me, I was like, okay, I think I need
your own space
that I like. So yes, officially, Dana, I have a space that I like to write, and I'm really grateful.
Now, do you write when it comes to your novels? Do you write every day, or do you just kind of wait to be inspired?
I try to write every day. When I'm working on a project, I try to dip into it every single day, and that's I'm not always successful.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Or sometimes it'll be, often my schedule is 5 days a week and I'll take the weekends off, or I'll have a choice on the weekends if I want to dip in or not. But this summer, I'm doing this challenge through what's called the Every Damn Day Writers. It's a Facebook group.
Oh,
And
I
so
like
there's
that. I
this
like the
challenge
title.
to write in some way every day. And it could be, you know, I'm going to write 1,000 words, or I'm going to write for a certain amount of time every day. Or it can just be, I'm going to think about my writing every day. So my challenge this summer was to work at least an hour per day
That's
um,
good.
on my projects, which I'm just starting. So anyway, so that's been good. But yeah,
I
I do
mean,
try
yeah, I
to.
agree with you. I set myself goals every day, and I get really frustrated if I
Yeah,
don't meet that goal. And for
yeah,
the past couple of days, I've not written, and it's been really frustrating, really
yeah.
frustrating. I'm going away at the end of the week to Nashville for a week. So I've
Oh,
been getting ready for that, and my husband's going to be here. We have animals and stuff, so I've got to make sure that the dogs get fed and they have enough food and little things like that. So it gets frustrating when I haven't been able to write. I'm like, ah, I
yeah.
get really hard on myself, but
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. Do
no,
you
it's
write
not.
when you go away? When you travel, do you try and write too?
I've been going back and forth. My son says leave the laptop at home, and I'm saying I'm going to take it because I'm going with my son and his family. We rented a
Oh,
cabin,
oh, fun.
and he says leave it at home, and I'm like, well, what if I want to write? He goes, Mom, you're on vacation, you know. So I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to take the laptop. And then the other thing too is I'm worried I'll lose the laptop, or it gets damaged, or it gets stolen, or
Yeah,
it's
that's true too.
everything is in this laptop. And I just said to my husband this morning, maybe I'll just take a notepad and pen. If I get the urge to write, I'll just use a notepad and pen. If I have a chance to write, then I'll
Yeah,
just
that's not
write
a
it
bad
up when I get
idea.
home. Because the thought of worrying about my computer the whole time away it's just going to take away the fun.
Yeah,
Because we're going to be renting a cabin. We don't know, you know, how Nashville is or how it. I'm
yeah,
not saying it's going to get broken into or stolen, but that worry
right,
will be there the whole trip.
right. Yeah, maybe the notebook and pen
I
idea.
might
That's
just take a notebook and pen and
a good idea.
write how it used to be. Here's okay. Here's one from Lori. How nervous were you with your debut novel?
Oh my God, I was a nervous wreck. I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I think from I mean, just from querying the novel, pitching it to agents, pitching it then to publishers, and then I signed with the publisher, and then the whole process was so fraught because I just didn't know what to expect. I was such a newbie, and I was worried I was doing it wrong, or that I was
Mm-hmm.
doing too much in one area and not enough in another. Um, and and maybe that's how I roll. Maybe I'm just a bit of an anxious person.
Oh, I was super nervous. I mean, I'm every time I release a book, that nervous is still there.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for me, it is just how the book is going to be received. I mean, we
yeah,
love our work. We like what we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't publish it. But then you've got to just send it out there to the world that's been your baby all this
yeah,
time, and no one's seen it. And you anxiously wait for that first review.
right,
Oh my
right.
God, and that I still get anxieties waiting for the reviews to come in. I send it
Yeah,
out to a review team and, let them have it. And, it's a very nerve-wracking time. It
it
really
is. It's
is.
you're putting yourself out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not everybody's going to like it, and you have
That's
to kind
right.
of get okay with that.
You do. I mean, when I run a couple of one-star reviews and it hurt. It really hurt. But like you said, you just have to accept it. You can't, please everybody. That's
No, no,
just
you
the way you
can't.
go. Just the
You
way you
can't.
go. And we have another question there. You mentioned you just started another project. So Donna's asking, can you tell us a little bit about the book you're currently writing?
Yeah, I'm nervous about it because I'm just starting. What I can tell you is the book I just finished. Is that okay,
Okay,
Donna?
yeah, that's good. That's
So
good.
I
I'll
just
take that.
finished my third book, and that one is set in the world of girls and women's soccer. And
Soccer?
yes,
Okay.
Soccer, football as
There we go.
But yes, but it's women's fiction, and it's not about soccer. It's actually about friendship. It's about two friends who met in high school, playing for the same soccer team, and they made a terrible mistake and decided to keep it a secret. And as adults, they reunite, and they have to deal with that secret. And one has turned out to be a professional soccer player. She's a soccer goalie. And she's an aging soccer goalie, so she's in her late 30s now, and thinking about getting out of the game and what's next. And then the other friend has started a town soccer league for girls. So soccer definitely, is a factor, but it's actually a book about friendship and family and love.
Sounds good. Do you have a title for it?
It's called Offside.
Offside, and how about a release date?
No release date. I just finished editing that book. So
do you play soccer, or are you on a girls soccer team?
I did. I played soccer all through school and high school, a smidge in college, and then after I had my daughter, I went back to soccer and started playing as adult. And then now my daughter plays. She's in high school and she plays soccer. So I was able to kind of bring in all of my experience in that novel, which was so much fun.
I like that. Now, okay, so we know you played soccer, and I know you.
Tina, you started to freeze a little bit. Can you repeat that question?
I got it. I've forgotten. Hold on, give me a minute.
That's okay.
Other than writing, when you're not writing, what other hobbies do you have?
Well, I love. We've already established I like soccer, so I stopped playing soccer, but I do run. I've also run my whole life, so I do a lot of running, which is really meditative for me, and actually I do a lot of writing when I run, weirdly.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll, often what my schedule will be is I'll sit down at the computer and I'll start writing, and then I'll get to a space where I'm like, I'm not sure what this plot point is supposed to be, or what this character is supposed to do, or where I'm supposed to go. I'll go for a run, and it'll kind of shake up my brain a little bit, and I'll figure out what the problem is. Do you ever find that if you sometimes just going outside and going for a walk or something, sometimes I'll do that if I'm walking the dog, something will kind of click. But for me, movement and being outside for some reason will help make things click for me in my writing when I get stuck. Hey, you froze a little bit there, Tina.
Okay, this internet's starting to piss me off.
Can we take another question, you think?
Yes. Let's see. Let me see 1 second. I found one up here. Okay, here it is from B. What is the inspiration for the covers and the titles? Did you have input for the covers?
I was so lucky I did. I did have, because your publisher can basically tell you what their cover is and you don't have a say.
Yeah, I know.
And I've been lucky enough, both my publishers let me have a voice in that. So I helped. The first cover has, I don't know if you can see it, has houses all over it. And
right,
this book is about the design world, about this couple, they design, the insides of houses, they redo, it's like a DIY kind of thing. And so the houses on the cover just seemed like such a natural fit. So we found that cover really fast. And then the second cover, we went back, my publisher and I went back and forth quite a bit, trying to find the right feel for the book. And I know that they had a vision for the book as something like very commercial, and like the title, I don't know if you can see like the title is big, my name is
Right.
big, and then it's very clear this is, it's going to be about something about
Entertainment.
Hollywood. You can just look from the
Right.
book, and it's going to be something about Hollywood. Not necessarily that it's women's fiction or contemporary fiction, but you kind of know what you're going to get with that book. So we definitely went back and forth with that title too, and that was fine.
Yeah, I like them. They turned out really good. They did. But what I want to do, just in case the internet starts to act up again, which I hope it doesn't, I'm going to take your advice. We were talking about it before we went live, that for me to use an Ethernet cable.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to do that because it happened last time but once in a while, I would freeze, yeah. And it's frustrating. Okay, I got your book on my phone. I'm going to read the Amazon description for Designer You, which is your debut. This is the one that won the award. I think that's really cool. 1 second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, we're here.
You're here.
I'm here. Okay, Pam Wheeler checked every box. Happy marriage, check. Fantastic kid, check. Booming career, check. So when her husband dies in a freak accident and the DIY empire goes on life support, Pam must fix the relationship with her troubled and grief-stricken daughter and save the family business. Pam and Nate were a couple who just couldn't get away from each other, sharing not only their bed, but also successful lifestyle empire as the DIY home renovators, bloggers, podcasters, and co-authors. When Nate dies in a freak accident, Pam becomes a 44-year-old widow. At once too young and too old to, At once too young and too old, too young to be thrust into a widowhood and too old to rejoin the dating pool. Now the single mother of a headstrong and grief-stricken teenager, Pam's life becomes a juggling act between dealing with her loss and learning how to parent by herself. On top of all that, she also must reinvent herself or lose the empire that she and Nate have built so carefully. Now is the time for Pam to seize the opportunity to step up as a mother, come out from behind Nate's shadow, and rise as the sole face of the Designer You brand, and maybe, possibly, hopefully, find love again. Sounds really good. Is this the one where readers were asking about a sequel, or was it the last one?
No, actually both of them. Weirdly, that one I was just at a barbecue before this actually, and someone was telling me that her mom had read both books and had asked about sequels for both. I've gotten, I think it's funny. I think a lot of readers, if readers connect to your book, they want, and they connect to the characters. I know I'm like that. I'm like, I would like more of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can relate to that so much. I enjoyed writing that book too. And I really liked being in that world. The whole design world, all of that research was so much fun, and this was a couple that's not unlike, they're kind of like a smaller version of like Chip and Joanna Gaines, So
okay.
You know what I mean? So they're in that world, and they're, putting on a little bit of a show, but they really actually have some pretty interesting skills. And that was really fun that was a really fun world to explore.
Were they your inspiration, Chip and Gaines, to write the book?
No. Well,
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I was thinking about like, gosh, like what does happen if something catastrophic happens to one? What does happen when that,
Well, I love those. I love HGTV. I watch those home improvement shows. We built our house, so we were always watching it for ideas.
Us too.
See, and we still watch it, even though our house is built. I mean, we still got a few things to do. I don't think it ever ends. When you build a house, you're building for the rest of your life. But
yeah, believe me. Oh my God.
Okay, I have a question here for you from Raina. She said, who was your favorite author growing up or after that?
Oh, that one's easy. My favorite author was Beverly Cleary, who we just lost.
Really? Just lost? He died?
Beverly Cleary. We just lost her. She was like 103.
I don't think I've read her books, but I did hear of her. 103?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
she was wonderful. She wrote all of the Ramona books, Ramona the Pest, Ramona and her mother, Ramona and her father, Ramona Forever. And I loved her so much. And she came when I was in third grade, she came to my hometown to give a talk at our community center. And I came with all my books because I wanted to go meet her and tell her
Oh,
how much I
wow.
loved her and I wanted her to sign my books. And it turns out it turned out to be a talk for adults. It wasn't for children. So I was like in an auditorium. So I was the only kid in this auditorium.
With all the books.
So I sat there with
That's really
my books in
cool.
my lap at in the back of the auditorium, and I heard her speech. And then at the end, she didn't stay to sign. So anyway, so afterwards, so I went home and I was a little bit disappointed. And I wrote her a letter and told her that I came to hear her speech. And she wrote me back. She wrote me this handwritten letter on Ramona stationery and told me how sorry she was. She didn't get to stick around.
You still have that by chance?
I do. I have it somewhere, but yes, I do. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
that's
yes.
brilliant.
But anyway, but yeah, so I was like, wow, she is hands down my favorite author forever. Yeah. Really special.
Got me?
Got ya.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use a hard wire next time. I'm going to take your advice. All right, we have another question for you. This one is from Era Lee. How hard is it to come up with character names?
Oh, yeah, that's such a good question. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. What do you think, Tina?
I think I had a harder time with my second series. They're all based in California. It's based in San Diego. And everyone in the book grew up in California. So I kind of wanted those carefree names, or I don't know, like I wouldn't. Yeah, I wanted like beachy, I don't know, carefree names.
Yeah.
When it came to the other one, the Tommy Mello series, they were all based on my family, and I kind of just, if my sister wasn't called Debbie, what would be a good name for her? And I looked at my sister and thought, oh, Donna. So I kind of had pictures in my mind of my family and thought, well, if they wouldn't call this, what would I call them? So
yeah.
But for you, you had a hard time too?
Sometimes. I mean, right now, so the project that I'm working on now is set in the early 80s. And so finding character names has actually been really fun because early 80s names are different than they are now. And so, and also according to their ages. So it's been really fun to hear names you don't hear as much anymore, like I don't know anybody named Stacy or Brenda anymore. Those aren't names that you hear as much. And so it's been fun to do that research. And it's also set in California. It's set closer to the desert, but it's like, well, what were, Lisa, what kinds of names were utilized in that time with baby boomers in the early 80s. And that's been fun. But I don't find it necessarily easy. Sometimes, a character can just kind of speak to you and they'll, especially if they're a main character that you're doing a lot of thinking about anyway, sometimes that'll be easy, but I don't find it always very easy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do. And I happen to like the names from the 80s better than today's names.
Oh, really?
Some of the names that people come out with today, I'm like, really? But they're child. I'm not even going to get into that one. That makes sense back then. Now
Yeah.
now it's just who can have the weirdest name, and we'll call our child that.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I did have, because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I had friends who had parents who were hippies, and they would give their poor kids these hippie names
Yeah.
that they were like, I don't want to be called Moonlight. I just don't. I want to be called Melissa,
Become
or I want
adults
to
and
be.
they want to change their name.
I think you're back.
Okay. Sorry about this.
That's
It's
okay.
getting really frustrating. At least it's only for a few seconds. But I'm going to try the hard wire next time. Raina, I think we might have covered this a little bit. She's asking, do the characters of your book stay with you after you have finished writing? And if yes, which one? That's a good question. I like that question.
Yeah. My characters from daytime drama. I really liked. I liked Callie, the main character, but I really loved writing her son. He's, a 12-year-old who is a wannabe comedian. And I always thought, my daughter is 17 right now, but when she was that age, I don't know about you, those kids are hilarious. Middle school age kids are hilarious. And I just had a blast writing Jonah. He was just fully himself and hilarious all the time. So that was really fun. But yeah, I do feel like these characters, they stick around, and it's hard to let them go finally.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
Yeah. And that's why you need to write a sequel.
Yeah. We'll see.
For both books. Okay, we have a question here from Darlene. She says, what genre do you like to read?
Ooh, I like so many genres, but I generally, I read a lot in my own genre. You have to,
Yeah, you do. You do.
And that's definitely not a chore. I really love reading contemporary fiction, women's fiction, book club fiction. I love all of that stuff. I read a lot of literary fiction. My background is in American literature, so I read a lot of the classics too, which I enjoyed. But probably my favorite genre to read is the one that I write in.
Women's
What
fiction.
about you, Tina?
I like most genres. There's a few I just won't touch, and one is horror. I just cannot read horror. I won't watch horror movies either. That I just won't touch. And a little bit of science fiction. I'm kind of really picky with the sci-fi. My father was a science fiction author. You think I would absolutely love it. But there's some of it is just way over my head. When it comes to the intelligence part of it, it's just like, woo.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy, some of them. Let's see, but everything else I pretty much will read. Historical fiction I love. I do love a good historical fiction.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of it is World War II. I'm just fascinated by World War. Am I back?
You're back. But World War II, you like reading about World War II?
I love historical fiction, World War II. I'm fascinated by World War II, so I do enjoy that. But yeah, horror is one that I just cannot read, and I can't watch movies of horror. I like to relax. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder while I'm reading a book.
No, it's true. Like a lot of people say they find pleasure in being scared, and I don't.
No, me neither. I just, it's just not for me. Here's a question from Era Lee. She's asking, what do you enjoy most about the publishing process? What's your favorite part?
I like a lot of it, actually. And I was surprised at how much I like. I really love talking to other authors like Tina. I love talking to readers. I was surprised, the book coming out during the pandemic, how much I've enjoyed doing online events. I thought, oh man, I'm really going to miss, really seeing people in person. face to face, and I do miss that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I found a lot of connections with readers I never would have talked to because they're far away. And this has been really joyful, actually, for me. I've been enjoying this part of the public, the promotion. This has been a really fun part of the publishing process. But I also like working with editors. I really like the creative back and forth with the publisher. I like it's when your writing becomes more collaborative. That's when and that's actually really fun for me. I don't think this is this isn't a one woman, this isn't just me. This is a whole team.
It's a team
has made this, and I'm really proud to work with the people that I've been working with.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a great team with you. It sounds like you do. Do you think do you ever come back to California? Do you visit?
You know what? As soon as I got my second shot, I booked a flight to go visit my mom. So I went out there in May and got together with my mom and my brothers, and then my whole family were going to come back in August. So
where do they live in California?
They live in Palo Alto, which is near San Francisco. It's between San
way
Francisco
up there. You're about 6 hours from here. Plus 6 hours.
Yeah. So when we were growing up, we would drive back and forth between Northern and Southern California all the time. And it's funny. It's like you talk to people on the East Coast because everything's so much closer together. They think of a 7-hour drive is like, no!
They have no idea. Well, it's funny you should say that. When I moved here from England, the people in England have no clue how big this country is. Number one, they can't even fathom that California is bigger than the entire England. They have no idea. And when I was living in Sonora, Northern California, when I first came out to this country, my cousin who lived in England, we were staying in Sonora. The closest airport is San Francisco. And he writes and he says, "Oh, I'm going to be in New York. Why don't you drive over and see me for the day?"
Oh my God. No, that's not how it
works. And then
works.
another one, I can't, it's way back then, but another friend of ours, I was staying at my dad's in Sonora, and they wrote and says, "Oh, we want to come out and visit you. Does it matter if we land at LAX or San Francisco?"
Yes.
They have no clue of the size of this country. They just
can't
fathom, that one state, because there's 50 of them, is bigger than the entire country. Because you can travel, from north to south in England in a day.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, thank goodness they asked, right?
Thank God, because LAX, we'll wait for you. Okay, be a while.
Get dinner.
Yeah, exactly. But for him to say, we're in New York, come drive and see us for the day, that just blew me away. They have no clue. That's so
like that.
But I soon learned. I had no idea when I came over here. I was naive, And when I lived in Sonora, you said your mom lives near San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I was 17 when I moved over here, and my dad had a 6-shift car, 5-speed, and he taught me to drive in San Francisco. And he said, if you can drive in San Francisco, you can drive anywhere.
That is so true.
You did it too. So he had me on the hills and just used the handbrake and balanced the clutch.
Yes.
Yeah. And then after that, I'd buy an automatic.
Yeah, but you're probably a great driver.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to brag, but I mean, I have no problem, with the handbrake and balancing the clutch and the gas on the hill. I have no problem at all.
Yeah, that is no joke.
Yeah, and it's like a 3 or 4 hour drive from Sonora to San Francisco, where he would take me there once a week.
Yeah, wow.
Give me driving license. If you can drive here, you can drive anywhere.
You were really thrown in the deep end.
I was. But then he also told me too, he said, it was a Datsun. I remember it was a Datsun. And he said, I took my test in Sonora. I didn't take it. Thank God I didn't take it in San Francisco. But he said, if you pass your test on the first time, you can have this car. Yeah. Well, in Sonora, they just had me drive around the block and that was it. It's a small town, no parallel parking, nothing like that. So I got the car.
Awesome. Wow, that's a pretty good
That
deal.
was cool. Yeah, I like that. That was cool. I'm just checking the time, and it's already 5:51.
Oh,
Goes
yeah.
by so quick. Let me see. I want to see if you have a couple more questions, and I want to talk to you about your giveaway.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see. Hold on. Okay, here's a good one from Lori. If you could be one of your characters, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. Lori, you're killing me. That's such a good question.
That is a good one.
Maybe I'd be Jonah. I'd go back in time and be a 12-year-old boy with a ton of confidence.
Now, is that the first book or the second book?
That's from the second book. So the precocious 12-year-old. That sounds I don't know though. I don't know if I want to go back to middle school. Like, let me take that back. Actually, I don't know if I want to do that.
Could you imagine
Actually,
being 12 again?
I would want to be a professional goalkeeper for a soccer team. Yeah, why not?
That would be good.
Yeah.
Like
What about
that.
you? Is there a character you would want to be?
Well, Tammy is already me, so I can't say that one.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be my sisters. I'm so mean, aren't I? I think if I go to the Sabella series, which is my other series, it's a romance. It's a steamy romance. But I really like Jill. Jill is the book that's coming out in August of next month.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started writing this book, I don't know about you, I don't plot my books. I just let the characters tell me where the book's going.
Oh.
And I had a hard time getting into Jill's head. But when I did, or she getting into my head, should I say? When I did, I really liked her. And I liked her spunk. I liked her personality. And I liked that she says what she means. She doesn't, she says how it is. So if I would want to be anything, it could be Jill. I really like this character, Jill. And when I finally got to know her, she was a fun book to write. Because each of my characters are getting their own story.
Yeah.
And the next one is Jill. So, yeah. And I've never been asked that question. I had to think about it for a minute. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was a good one. Now, we are going to wrap it up shortly. Let's talk about the giveaway. Sure. We are doing a giveaway, which I do, which I like. I appreciate when the authors do this, and it's for the people that are watching us today. It's for the live. Mm-hmm. What are we giving away?
We are giving away a signed copy of my latest book. So
nice.
Of daytime drama. So I will, if you're international, I will send you a Kindle or an e-copy of the book. But I will send anyone who's domestic a signed copy of the paperback. I'm sorry, I wish I could.
No, the shipping is outrageous, and most authors we do that. It's just outrageous.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. Yeah, when I don't ship books internationally, I just can't unless they offer to pay it. And this is a Cuppa and a Natter because I always have a cup of tea, and the Natter means chat because I'm British. And what I started doing is I'm giving one reader a box of my tea, which is the Yorkshire English tea. It will be gifted from the stores that I buy it from, but this is the only tea I drink, and I have tea every single day. I came from England 30 years ago. I still have to have my cuppa every afternoon. And I call it the natter because that's what a chat means in England. It means natter. A lot of people ask me, what does natter mean? Well, it means chat. But being English, I like to call it cuppa and a natter. But I've had a really good time talking to you.
This has been really fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I apologize for my, shady internet once in a while. But I'm going to try the hard way a lot. But it's not too bad. It's, it just went out for a second, which is good. Yeah. But I would love to have you back when your next book comes out. We just got to book you early.
I know. You're all booked out
February, but please keep me posted about your next book. I'd love to have you back on. Yeah. And everyone that's here tonight, I want to thank you all for joining us. And we will announce the winner tonight. I'm going to talk to you after we end the broadcast about picking the winner, but we'll do it tonight. And I'll also pick a winner for the Yorkshire tea. And thank you, everybody, for the great questions. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tina.
All right. Thank you.